Hello and welcome to another cast brought to you by Netrunners.co.uk. Once more bringing you coverage from the Cardiff regionals held at Firestorm Games on the 10th of May 2014. We have Seb on the left there from Oxford playing Kate, and we have Tim on the right playing NBN Making News from Birmingham. Very competitive games. We hope to bring you all the top 8 matches, as well as a couple of select games from my Swiss rounds. I won't be able to do them all because we had 6 rounds of Swiss, and quite frankly, even I don't have that kind of stamina, as the wife would probably agree to. So, fundamentally here, just to give you a kind of clarification on how double elimination works, we have a winner's bracket and a loser's bracket. We're going to be following the top table of the winner's bracket for the whole of this top 8 process. We know that Seb obviously won his last game, therefore going into the winner's bracket, as did Tim. He's won his game, also go on to the top table here. Just to give you an idea again, so if the loser of this will go into a loser's bracket game, and the loser of the loser's bracket will drop out of the qualification process. So you can afford to drop one game, and one game only. If you drop 2 games in a row, you are out of the process. So we're going to have a fairly typical start here from NBN. We're going to play a sweep, squeak and ice. Seb in return will play a diesel, drawing up 3, and looking for some economy, I would imagine, of some description, and some early breakers for early pressure. Very important to get the remote pressure on when you're playing against NBN. He's going to play a clone chip and a self-modifying code, and pass turnover back to Tim. So nice aggression there, nice early play. Hopefully playing some couple of parasites in hand, might be able to recur them with his clone chips. At the very least, can use that SMC to either fetch an early doors magnum opus to be able to fund his economy, or obviously go and get the key breaker. And here we have an even more crucial and key play here for NBN. It's setting up the early doors remote with an ice, and I think he took a credit as well. We're going to run there early on and play and face a Viper. It looks like Seb is not electing to use his SMC here to fetch a Cogate breaker. Probably doesn't quite have the money for it, but he is going to beat the trace on the Viper for the first subroutine, but he has to let the second one hit. There's still one Making News credit left for Tim to use there for the remainder of his turn, and only 6 credits left in his pool, but certainly enough to be able to put the Sand pressure on. He's going to run R&D and hit a Hunter, and so I would imagine that's going to go in at trace 4. He's going to have to beat the trace and respect it. He sees a Jackson Howard, which he puts back on top, which is a surprise. Jackson Howard, and if this kind of fast advanced deck, which it most certainly is very, very difficult play to make. I'm pretty sure these two actually did play each other in the rounds of Swiss. I'm pretty sure that Seb came out on top thanks to a sneak door beta, which I have no doubt Tim will certainly be aware of in this match. So he's going to draw and play and use that Jackson Howard, which Seb just let him have. Seb has obviously played a daily cast there as well, for those of you that missed it. And he's going to advance his card once on the table. So it could very well be an NAPD contract there. Could also be a character assassination, so something to be concerned of, particularly when you have a daily cast left in play. At the end of his turn, Seb's going to... Oh no, sorry, he's not. He's changed his mind. He was going to use the SMC to get a reduction, but he's realised I don't think he can quite afford it. The only thing he could potentially fetch there would be a parasite. And if that's the case, I'm surprised he didn't do it. With a clone chip on the board, parasite early doors... That could certainly be the undoing here of Tim's NBN deck, and dropping all his taxing ice down by 1. He's going to draw twice, draw 3, nope, yep, 3 times. 3 times the lady, and he's going to play another clone chip, and discard an Atman, as well as something else. I think he's just giving some thought and consideration to it, as well as the sneak door beta. So that's a surprise. I think Sneak Door is always strong, even if your opponent's aware that it's in the deck. That doesn't necessarily mean they can stop it. Tim's going to play a Beanstalk, a Hedge Fund, and Ice Up Archives. So no more no more Sneak Door beta at the very least. But I generally find that with NBN decks, agendas do tend to pile up in HQ. A well-timed Sneak Door beta, as certainly Seb found out in Swiss, can destroy NBN and can do a lot of good work, so I'm surprised to see him discard it early on. Maybe he's worried about memory issues, but he's going to play a diesel and draw up, looking maybe for some breakers. I'm not sure. Difficult one. He's going to play an imp though, so he has the means now to be able to go in and trash Sands, even any PD contracts potentially if he so chooses. He's going to double ice up R&D. He's going to draw Jackson, draw 2. And his last click, I think he's just going to take a credit and pass the turn over. So he's going to get all his lovely money off daily casts. There's 2 daily casts on the board now, so he's got some sustainable econ pressure going on. Doesn't feel probably in a position to be able to use a Magnum Opus, which is disappointing. Like, you kind of want the early doors Opus. Anyway, Seb's going to run against Jackson Howard, but Tim isn't going to give him the chance. He's going to use Jackson Howard to put those 3 economy cards he just played back into his R&D, which seems sensible. Though, you know, again, Seb's only on 5 credits. Soaking up 3 of them potentially could be well played, and if he uses an imp counter for getting rid of a Jackson Howard, that's not a bad thing either, really. He will use SMC at this point. I think he's going to. Sorry, I think he made a run there on the remote server. So he's cracking SMC for a Cyber Cipher, which will only break code gates on that remote server. So he will go through and break the Viper. I think he's going to let the first subroutine hit still, and not bother breaking the first one. So he's going to break the second one, the end of the run. He's going to see an NAPD contract, which he will trash using his imp counter, just denying him the agenda. So that's not, not a bad play at all there. He can't afford the credits, but he certainly can afford to do that. He's going to play an SMC out and allow him to put a little bit more pressure on there. So he's set up quite well here. He's still got, sort of 8 credits to come on the board drip economy wise. Tim's going to play another card there in that remote server. And he can get in there, so presumably, probably not an agenda, but it could very well be a Sansan. At the very least, it's forcing Seb to go in and check it, because Tim is sitting quite nicely there on over 10 credits, and certainly enough to threaten the res of a Sansan and the gaining of an Astro token. So he has to respect the left to right mentality, or right to left, however you want to look at it, remotes to HQ R&D kind of access. He sees a pad campaign, so he will run there breaking both. He's not going to trash the pad campaign, so some nice drip economy there going in for Tim next turn. He's going to draw up, looking for something. Not sure what he's looking for there. Probably maybe a breaker or 2. Could be looking for his parasites. Again, I'm assuming he's running them. I'm presuming he is, having seen the Atman on it being discarded, a sharpshooter going down there as well. So Tim will res the pad campaign at the beginning of his turn and do his mandatory draw. He's going to draw first click. Unfortunately now Jackson's gone, he has to do it the hard way round. He's going to draw second click. And he's going to play a hedge fund. And this is the kind of point where I would desperately clamour for a Snoop Door beta. Even with a piece of ice on archives, this is the kind of time you'd love to be able to go in and put real pressure on HQ, and I'm surprised to not see him run against HQ yet at this stage. Certainly he has to now. He's drawn up 2 times in that turn. No agendas being scored. You've got to assume they're in there, and I think you've got to pressure HQ at this point in the game. Take his money off daily cast, go to Sure Gamble. Tim wants to have a quick look at his archive, see what's there. Not archive, sorry, his heap, whatever you want to call it. Discard, that one. So he is going to run HQ, he's going to see a Caduceus. He's going to boost the first trace by 1. Oh, sorry, he's not going to boost the trace at all, because in fact he's going to crack his SMC and go and fetch a Mimic. Sorry, I'm a little bit slow there, bear with me. So he will use the Mimic to, presumably, beat both. Yep, so he's going to break both subroutines, go in, and I think he's deciding here where he's going to access or not. I don't see any reason why he wouldn't. Maybe he's worried about the... he's going to score a breaking news, and like I say, he just says there himself that he's concerned about the potential mid-seasons that may come into play. Doesn't want to take those tags, and having seen a Hunter on R&D, that's probably a sensible precaution. There's not much you can do about it now at this stage, but it's certainly got to be a worry. He's going to pass the turn. I'm surprised to not see him put more pressure on HQ there. I would have been tempted to go in and check it a couple more times. He's going to install Jackson and use him, so even if he does have agendas in hand now that are piling up excess, he's probably going to get rid of them with Jackson Howard. So maybe a missed window opportunity there. He's going to ice up HQ and pass the turn. And he does seem to be playing with a lot of caution here. And again, it's certainly worth mentioning, having been through 6 rounds of Swiss, these guys are tired out and a little bit fatigued from Netrunner. So we certainly won't begrudge them any player that's a little bit fast and loose, as I said in the first round of this top 8. He's going to run it, and run Jackson and make him use him. He's going to probably put that NAPD contract back in, as well as 2 other cards, I think both economy. Still 2 face-down cards there in archives. Probably not agendas at this stage. Having seen both Jacksons, you probably wouldn't want to risk leaving agendas in archives now. Chance of you seeing the 3rd one, not necessarily massively high. So the pressure's on Seb. Even though he's 1 up, you can't help but feel like the pressure's on Seb here. He's going to run R&D and see a pop-up window, so he'll pay 1 and Tim will gain 1. We're going to go through and do the Hunter, so it'll be Trace 5. And he's just going to take the tag, and he's going to see an NAPD contract. He's got to make a decision here whether to score it or trash it. He's going to trash it, which is a surprise. I'd probably be tempted to steal it. He had the money to do so, unless you've got a sure gamble in hand, and you kind of wanted to use it. But I just feel like, you know, taking yourself to 3 points is putting the pressure right back on Tim now. Even though he's scored no agendas, you know, you've got to feel it's coming. And in fact, there we go, install, and put something into a remote with 13 credits, and that's not what you want to see. It's got no barrier breaker. The only code gate breaker he's got is a Cyber Cipher, which only applies to the remote server that has that little brain damage token on. And so the pressure really on now. He's going to play Professional Contacts, use Professional Contacts, and scavenge the Imp. I'm not sure if he can afford to take that kind of a tempo hit, to be truthful. I feel like that may be a small misplay. I think you kind of had to go in there and try and run that remote, and in fact, here we go, shipment from Sansan, advance, score an Astro, gain an Astro token, and even without the Sansan City Grids, we're seeing real fast advance pressure on the board now, as we probably would expect. And like I say, I feel that Seb there couldn't afford to take the tempo hit of installing the Professional Contacts, but he didn't have any economy on the board, probably felt like his hand was forced somewhat. But you know, with the Imps, he has the ability to go in and trash. He takes some money with some cards of Professional Contacts. He'll play a sure gamble. He's back up to a good economic position. But is it a little bit late? That's the problem you've got to realise now. It's that first Astro scored. If he sees a Sansan or another Astro, heavens above, you know, he could be in a real situation. Tim's going to play a Sweeps Week for 4. Obviously, he's got 5 cards in hand there, Seb. Discarded a Crescentus and a Magnum Opus. Doesn't have the memory for Magnum really, but I'd still be tempted to play it if for no other reason than, you know, because that Cyber Cipher is doing absolutely diddly squad at this point. If you're not going to go in and trash the pad campaign, which he's not. Alright, he's going to run. He's going to hit his wraparound, which he cannot break. He could crack the clone chip for an SMC, which would trash the Cyber Cipher and go and fetch his Corroder, but he's not doing it, which is surprising. He's going to run HQ instead and see a Bastion, and now in 3rd click he's going to play an indexing on R&D, sees another pop-up window, and again I kind of feel here he probably could have used that clone chip to get an SMC out to enable him to go through and potentially break that wraparound. Don't know what that other piece of advice may be, but it, you know, at least gives him the option of going in there and checking that remote or forcing more economic pressure. But anyway, he's going to break the trace on the Hunter, I believe, which is trace 5. He's going to see the top 5 cards. Looks like an NAPD contract on top and nothing but ice underneath. And I'm surprised to see him put the NAPD on top, because he's not running there. He's going to Professional Contact last click, at which point we see a triple advance from Tim, score another Astro, and that really is a crucial point in the game here. With 2 Astro tokens, he can now fast advance to two more for the win and take the victory. And I don't fancy Seb's odds from this point on, and you kind of felt like he was up against it. And maybe that barrier breaker was key. Maybe getting that Corroder out was important, even if it cost him the Cyber Cipher. I don't think that's a big deal, to be truthful. He is in fact going to run that remote and use the Cyber Cipher, break the Viper, and to trash the pad campaign. Again, I don't know, I'm not sure if he's got the time or the money for that. Uses the Imp counter obviously to do so, but still plays a mem chip and passes the turnover. And I kind of feel here Seb is really struggling. He wants to be able to put pressure on HQ, I think here is probably the key point, but can't with that Bastion and a Caduceus there. That's a pretty taxing server for him to get through. Tim's now installed another card into that remote server, causing even further problems. So it's a difficult position here for Seb. I'm not sure what he's going to do, how he's going to play this. He's going to draw professional contacts, taking some money. He's going to see the corroder and play it. Has the memory to be able to do so. Still got one memory left. He's going to run that remote, break the wraparound, and oh, yeah, there's a lot of money going in the bin there. So one can assume we're going to see toll booth. So Seb will lose 3, and unable to get into that remote server now. Ends the run. And he's got no means of breaking that toll booth. He can get through the wraparound now, but the toll booth is going to lock him out hard. Kind of the point you want to see a femme fatale, test run, scavenge it maybe, just to be able to get through for 1. And he has discarded a femme. I know he's got one in the deck. I'm pretty sure I've seen it in his heap. I'm not sure if he's seen a test run or indeed if he's running them with 2 or 3 clone chips, which he definitely is running. You wonder whether he is. He's going to professional contacts aggressively and then use freelance coding to ditch 3. And there is a femme, so if I hadn't seen one, there is one. He's going to gain 6 off the coding, whatchamacallit. So he's ditching the programs. If he does have a test run here, you know, getting that femme out and putting it on that toll booth could be really strong. But Tim's just simply going to score a Beal from hand using an Astro token and 2 credits, and he's still got 2 credits left. So if there's another agenda in HQ, he can win the game next turn. It's 6 points to 1 with 1 Astro token left, and Tim is sat on a decent amount of money, but doesn't have the means to get through that toll booth. It's the safest place for agendas at the moment, unless he can find a way of breaking out the femme fatale. He's going to indexing and going to break through the pay 2 to get past the pop-up windows, and he's going to take the tag from Hunter. He's going to look at the top 5. I think he just wants to deny him here the opportunity to top deck an agenda, which seems very sensible, and kind of hope and trust he doesn't have them in HQ. He's going to run through again and presumably score an agenda. Yes, indeed, he'll score a Beal. So it's now 3 points to 6, but that Astro, that's the problem. He's going to professional contacts twice past the turn, but he is tagged, and oh, there we go. Close the counts, first click there from Tim. So that's all his money gone. Install, and that's got to be game now. No matter what that is, if it's an NAPD contract, he can advance and score it. Seb's in an economic pit, and he's going to professional contacts, first click, second click. He's got no possibility there really of getting through onto that remote server. It looks like he's just drawn up into a parasite there, which is a shame. If you'd seen that earlier, maybe things would have been a little bit different. But he's got no means of breaking the toll booth, no means of getting into there, and you've got to assume it's almost certainly going to be an NAPD contract, is what I would play if I had it in hand. And so even if he does get through there, he doesn't have the money to be able to score it. You can trash it with Imp, but even then he's only buying himself time rather than solving the problem. And sat on only 3 points. He really can't get out of this economic hole now. Even a test run costs 3, so it would still cost him 5 to even get through into that remote server. And there could be an Ash in there, it could be a red herrings, it could be anything that stops him from even looking and seeing that agenda. And you got to admit, I think here Seb is consigned to his eventual defeat. I certainly can't see him pulling this one out of the bag, unfortunately. But he's giving it some thought, making sure to explore all his options, which is sensible. As again, I've already mentioned, they're in a position of playing 6 rounds of Swiss. But indeed, I'm afraid a little bit too little too late. He will triple advance, use the Astro token, and score the NAPD contract, giving him the win and dropping Seb into the losing bracket. So Seb still has the chance to be able to come back out into the winner's bracket in his next game. Tim will now host the top table and host the next player for the next round. Hope you enjoyed the cast, ladies and gentlemen. Once more, let me remind you that we have plenty of stuff on our website for you to view and enjoy. That's www.netrunners.co.uk. Please feel free to pop in and say hello to us on the forums as well, and we look forward to bringing you more casts soon.